Hi everyone. We are Team 12 and we are SQL model team. And I'm Shuxing and we have Ruoxin, Mengjia, and Boxuan in our team. And today we are going to present Netflix database management system. This is our agenda for today's presentation. So we have objective, scope, architecture diagram, design and entity relationship diagram, data pipeline, visualization, future plan, and Q&A session. And the first is our objectives and scope. The main points for our project are manage employee and the group information, and to understand customer behavior, tracking view trends based on different factors, and filter the underperforming content, and help Netflix to make business decisions and recommendations. And the next is our architecture diagram. And first, we get some data from the Kaggle, and also we create some data manually from macro. And we did data cleaning, such as remove duplicates and the null values by using Python for the data from Kaggle. And then we store the clean data into the Azure data storage. And the next, we use the Azure Factory to do the ETL, such as grab data from the storage into the table and create data flows and create data pipeline and do the data refresh. And then next, we connect to the Azure Data Studio to do our queries for our data sets. And then last, we use Power BI and the Tableau to do our data visualization and do the analysis. And next, we will introduce the ERD.
So here is our database. I will talk about the document database first because this is easier to understand all our ERD. In the document database, there are two documents. The title documents include the title ID, name, director, release year of the movie or the TV show. And the cast documents include all the basic information of the actors. Next, please. And here is our data pipeline for the document database. So first, we create two flows to copy the data. We grab the data from the data factory and sync them into the tables. And then we create a store procedure to do the embedding process. And then we put everything after embedding into a new table, and we call it the film table. Next, please. And here are some sample queries. The first two pictures shows the table after the copy data process, and the red picture is what it looks like after the embedding process. And then we put this result into the film table, and the film table looks like the bottom picture. You can see the cast is the for JSON path format in the last column. Next, please. And after that, we add a trigger to do the data refresh for our document data pipeline. Next, please. And here is our relational database. In this database, there are 4 tables. Customer table include all information of customers, and it has one-to-many relationship with the account table. So which means each customer can has many accounts, and each account can only be owned by one customer. And film table is what we did in our last step, and it has a many-to-many relationship with the account table. So we put a bridge table between 2 of them, and we call it the stream table. Next, please. And here is the data pipeline for our relational database. Also, there are 3 data flows, and we grab the data from the data storage and link them into each table. Next, please. And here are some sample queries for the relational database. you can see each picture is the data after the copy data process. Next, please. So after that, we add a trigger for the data refresh for our relational data pipeline as well.
Okay, so this is our graph database. As you can see in this diagram, there are two node tables, the employee node table and the group node table. Each table has a bunch of attributes such as ID, first name, last name, date of birth, and etc. And there are three edge tables describing the relationship between these two node tables. An employee can be the manager of the other employees. An employee can be the leader of the group. An employee can also be a part of the group. Next, please. So for importing data to the graph database, we create four data flows in the data pipeline. The screenshot on the central is the data pipeline, and the data flow on the left side of this slide is used to create the node tables. This one must be executed first, and the other three on the right side will be executed later because they have dependency conditions on the first data flow, which means they will only be executed if the first data flow has a final status of success. Now let's take a look at these four data flows one by one. Next, please. So for data flow number one, we import two CSV files, employee.csv to the employee node table and group.csv to the group node table. One thing I want to mention here is that so far we haven't created any edges yet. So these two tables are independent for now. And for the second data flow, we try to create the manager of edge. We use some logical judgment such as conditional split, select, inner join, and so on. And for this data flow, there are two data sources. The first one is a CSV file describing the management relationship between employees. And the second data source is the employee node table, where we need to get the corresponding node ID use inner join function. Next, please. So for the third and fourth data flow, the logic is pretty much the same, except the one is leader of, the other one is part of. We also use some logical judgments such as conditional split, select, inner join, and so on. And there's three data sources for these two data flows. The first one is a CSV file describing the relationship between employee and the group. The second and third one are the two node table, where we need to get the corresponding node ID, use the inner join function. Next, please. And for data refresh, we also use the trigger similar with the ones we use for our relational database and document database. It will trigger the data pipeline every 12 hours to refresh our graph database. Next, please.
Okay, and I will continue with presenting the visualization. First, we can see the graph. As we told just before, the graph database is for employee and groups. So we use the Microsoft Power BI on creating those graphs. The picture on the left side is the manager to employee. We can see that one manager leads 3 employees in one group. Because we only have limited data, so it's not a complicated image. And the picture on the top right is a manager to group. We can see that it is a one-to-one relationship between the manager and the team. And the picture on the bottom right is the group to employee that shows one group has 3 employees. And the next page, please. Okay, and then for some other visualizations, we also use Power BI to creating graphs. For a customer, in that pie chart, 40% of the customer are from 1980s and 20 are from 1960s and 2000s each. And for viewing tendency of the different generation, we can see that the customers from 1980s loves reality shows best right now. Next page, please. Also, now we can look at the streams. On the left screenshot, comedies and dramas are the most streamed resources. And on the right side, it shows that streams were produced in 20 are mostly produced in 2060. And for the next page, please. And now for the films. We can see that the United States and India made most films on Netflix in recent years, and for the picture on the right, the most viewed type of movies include dramas and comedy in those two spot charts. Next page, please. And last, for our future plan. First, we want to collect more and more updated Netflix operational data. Right now, we just create a template of the database and a small amount of data that's filled in. If we want our database to run, we need to collect enough data to make our database and visualization result more meaningful. Then we should focus on viewing of customers' viewing of the Netflix, especially their preference and needs. We carry out such visual analysis to better understand the situations of customer and streams, so we can adjust the content of streams through data and better meet customers' viewing needs. Then we need to guide in the relationship between the customers and employees. In our database, the customer part and the employee part are pretty separated. We think a more reasonable database should connect employees and customers through some entities, just like something like feedback or something else. Such database will be more intelligent. And in one sentence for all, our target is to providing customer with a better Netflix experience. And that's all of our presentation. And now for the Q&A time. Thank you.
So hi, this is teammate. I have a question about the triggers you use in your project. So I see you have more than one trigger for your pipeline. So are they all the same? I only heard you mentioned once that one of them is like doing refresh job every 12 hours. Are they all the same?
Yeah, basically it's same. We just created in the data factory, and that trigger is to make the data pipeline work every on the scheduled time. So basically
Oh,
it's
okay.
same. Yeah.
Okay. And another one is for your visualizations. So you have a visualization with country names on the x-axis and the release year on the y-axis. I think yeah, there's one on the one on the left. Can you explain more on the one on the left?
I think this picture is just about which films that have been made by every country and also every year. We only made those files, so they're all there. They're all, every spot means a film.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other question, comment for Team 12? Okay, Team 12, could you please go back to your ERD? ERD, go to that graph, ERD for graph, okay. So you implemented 2 node tables and then 2 H tables to connect these 2 node tables, right?
It's 3 edge tables.
Oh, 3 H tables. Okay, I missed one. So you have a part of, leader of, and then a manager of 3. So 2 nodes tables and the 3 H tables, that's great. And also, could you walk us through your visualization based on the graph data model? So, okay.
So for the graph visualization, because we don't have too much data here, we create it manually. So maybe the performance is not that good. So the first one is, employee ID to the manager ID. So the center is the manager ID, and the other 3 are the employees ID who managed by the center ID. And the top one is the group ID to the manager ID. So we can see which manager lead is the leader of which group. And the top one, the bottom one is the group ID to the employee ID. So we can say which employee belongs to which group. So basically, yeah. So basically, the left one is the manager of, and the top one, the right top one is the part of. I mean leader of. The bottom one is the part of.
Okay, great. And I believe you said you used Power BI to create these visualizations, right?
So for the graph part, we use the Power BI, and the rest of the visualization, we use the Tableau.
Okay. So for the Power BI, what add-on did you install any add-on?
I just follow your video you
I
post.
see. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Great work and a great presentation.
Thank you, Professor.
And thank you for the question.